Alright, so I'm a little late to the party with this one, but everyone knows at my core, I'm an action guy through and through. So when I heard that there was a new 3-hour Tollywood epic on the scene that basically feels like Star Wars and Mad Max tossed into a blender together, I knew I had to go check it out. So it is time to talk about Kalki 2898 AD. What's up guys, I'm Sully, and today I'm very excited because we're finally talking about the brand new Indian sci-fi blockbuster epic, Kalki 2898 AD. All you need to know about this one is that the story goes like this. A bounty hunter tired of the oppressive confines of his homeland yearns for a more comfortable existence in the complex. His quest for a new life inadvertently entangles him with a group of rebels dedicated to freeing humanity from the grip of malevolent forces. So I have to say that I don't really have all that much experience within the world of Indian cinema, but after RRR came out a couple of years ago and completely took the world by storm, I told myself that I wasn't gonna miss the next big Tollywood epic that made its way to the big screen. Well, if there was any movie that was gonna tickle my fancy and get my ass back into the theater, it was gonna be the one that's a sprawling sci-fi mythology adventure that also happens to be the most expensive film India has ever produced. With that being said, did it feel like I probably should have done some research on the overall legend that this entire thing is centered around? 100%. Did I get lazy and just go into the movie completely blind anyway? You bet your ass I did. It kind of reminds you of Game of Thrones in the sense that you always have to actively remind yourself every 5 minutes who the hell everyone is and what they're up to, because there's a lot to keep track of here. But even though the movie isn't insanely accessible, and it's definitely about 30 minutes too long, the visuals, the tone, and the action sequences make this one more than worth the price of experiencing it for yourself. Now, something to keep in mind before diving into this film is that you need to know what you're getting yourself into here. If you're someone like me that experienced RRR when it came out and enjoyed the suspender dancing hell out of it, then you're all good. But if you've never watched Indian cinema before, it can be a lot, let me tell you. I mean, we're talking about cartoonish action sequences, full-on dance battles, several musical numbers, you name it. So if you walk into this one expecting it to perfectly mirror the structure and tone of all of the science fiction epics of the United States, you're gonna be scratching your head within the first 15 minutes. Some of the movie can definitely be too much, even for me at times, with just the degree in which it indulges in being insanely over the top, especially in that first act. But if you approach this one with the mindset that it's gonna have its own distinct flavor and game plan, I promise that there's a lot to enjoy here. Like I mentioned earlier, this film is kind of positioned as a Star Wars and Mad Max hybrid of sorts, and I think it does a good job borrowing some of the traits from those franchises while also completely being its own thing. All of that sci-fi and wasteland stuff is in here, but it's set to the backdrop of this massive, century-spanning prophecy with gods and tyrants. And as someone that really loved learning about Greek mythology growing up, this film made me want to learn more about the Indian side of things. We follow 3 different storylines simultaneously, and each character has a part to play in the overall scheme of the plot. I probably enjoyed the sections with Prabhas' bounty hunter the most, but they're all important in the start of this cinematic universe that they're clearly starting to set up. What's crazy is that this is the most expensive Indian movie ever made, clocking in at a budget of around 72 million US dollars. Now obviously that is nothing compared to some of the American blockbusters that are released every year, but just like Godzilla Minus One did before it, Kalki 2898 AD proves that you don't need all of the money in the world to deliver up totally kick-ass and balls-to-the-wall visuals. It has a budget that's almost 4 times less than the Marvels and Dial of Destiny, and somehow also looks 10 times better. You can't tell me that those 2 films weren't used to launder money at this point. Hollywood is in the gutter, I swear. Now, it seems like all of these Tollywood movies that hit the mainstream are always super long. They clock in at a runtime of around 3 hours, and I can only imagine that's the case because they're always these massive scale epics with long action sequences and tons of world building. And that's obviously the case here as well with Kalki 2898 AD, but I just don't know if it was the tightest experience that it could have been. Trust me, I'm all for long ass action action movies. I mean, I could have watched John Wick fall down the stairs for another 5 hours, but at some point it kind of turns into too much of a good thing, even for a big action head like myself. Regardless of that though, I think this movie is definitely an experience worth having if you're a fan of the genre, and if you strap in with your expectations in check, I know you're gonna emerge on the other side looking forward to whatever's coming next. Overall guys, Kalki 2898 AD is a sci-fi epic in every sense of the word. The stakes are high, the visuals are bold, the music is great, and the world building is cranked up to 11. Although it's not the most accessible movie ever made, and you will definitely feel that 3-hour runtime, the film does everything to the best of its abilities and sets up a cinematic universe that I am fully interested in investing my time into once it starts firing on all cylinders. If you're a fan of all of the tentpole, big-budget science fiction franchises, you should for sure be giving this movie a look. Kalki 2898 AD gets a Sully score of 3.5 stars. So that's my review for the latest Indian blockbuster. What do you think are some essential action movies from India I should definitely be adding to my watch list? I need to see way more of them, so let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys at the next one.